What's up, my YouTube friends? JDX here. It's been a while. It's been quite a long time. But, I got a few comments asking me to do more reactions to Game Theory, so I found one that I don't believe I watched, because since the first Game Theory I've watched quite a few. I ended up liking them. The one I found was FNAF 4 Got It All Wrong. I don't remember watching this one, but I watched the newest FNAF 1 to know the full story. But I want to know how FNAF 4 got it all wrong. Let's find out, shall we? In 3, 2, 1.
Sorry, Scott Cawthon. I'm tired of waiting for you. This time you'll have to keep up with me. Oh, never mind.
We don't care about those advertisements. Forgive me for that advertisement. Free advertisement right there, and here, all around here.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where instead of waiting for FNAF 4 to be released, this time we're getting out ahead of the game. Or at least that was the plan. Scott, I swear, you are the biggest internet troll out there. Oh, it's being released October 31st. Okay, let me plan my entire schedule around that. Never mind, it's now in August. Okay, fine, let me rework everything. Lols. Here's the full version now. You, Scott Cawthon, are the reason I have an emotional dependence on Diet Coke. But today I'll be sipping that sweet, sweet Diet Coke in sweet, sweet victory. Because guess what? I win! Scott, in your rush to get the game out, to get out ahead of my theories and completely flim-flam the internet and shock everyone by releasing the game 3 months early, you missed a huge detail. Maybe before releasing the game, you should have spent a bit more time researching, because this game, as you've presented it, is impossible. Let me explain. Basically, it's all but confirmed at this point that in FNAF 4 you play as the victim of the bite of 87, and that this game is either his nightmare or what he's seeing in a coma as he recovers from his injuries.
Okay.
Let me run you through the evidence real quick so that we're all on the same page.
10.
First, in the months leading up to the release of the game, there were clues hidden in the source code for some of the teasers on Scott's website, with the numbers 8787 repeated over and over again. Two numbers that anyone who hasn't been living under a rock will recognize as a key date in the franchise's lore, the bite of 87. This is further supported by the text on the teaser images. All of the pictures released on the site basically ask the same question: was it me? Which seems to refer to the actual attacker of the bite itself. But there was one more word we saw repeated throughout the teasers: nightmare. Hidden over top of multiple teaser images was that exact word. That, combined with the Freddy Krueger-ish design of the animatronics, with teeth and claws everywhere, something far different from how we've seen these things designed in the past, seemed to indicate that this would be the way a child would imagine these creatures if he had had a traumatic experience with them, making it seem like what we would be playing would be a dream. Couple that with some evidence from the trailer. The first words are, "What is it you think you see?" making us question the reality of the images in the game. But there was also something that everyone seemed to overlook about this trailer: the appearance of the number 4. Scott doesn't do things randomly, as I'm sure we're all aware by now. And notice the movement of the 4. It starts off in a horizontal plane, like it was laying down on something, say a bed, but then wakes up to stand vertically before the trailer ends. Even that remnant red rectangle is meant to symbolize the bed. Everything seems to be letting us know that what we're seeing isn't really real, it's a dream, or better yet, a nightmare. Now, fast forward to the game's release, or I suppose casually meander to the game's release, since it wasn't too long afterwards, and we see that this theory still holds. Flowers, an IV, and pills will occasionally show up next to your bed. Classical medical supplies that show us that this is a child in recovery. Foxy, who's hiding in a closet, will transform back to a plush toy if you hold the door closed on him long enough, making it seem like this was all a dream or hallucination. And of course, the biggest piece of evidence of all, the cutscene that ends Night 5, which, if you don't want a spoiler, click here to skip. All of you skipped now? Good.
Nope.
Actually shows the bite of 87 take place in the mouth of the golden Fredbear. This is further supported by the quote-unquote boss of the game being that same golden Fredbear, where in the final nights, he's the one who ends up stalking you. All the other animatronics disappear. You're being haunted by the suit that bit you. So yeah, that's it. All the evidence points to the victim of 87 being our protagonist, the character we're playing as in FNAF 4. Good job, Scott. You finally put together a game with a coherent plotline. Except you didn't. Scott Cawthon, if all of us are right in our theory, then you, sir, are wrong. Just when it looked like you were making a game that actually adhered to its own lore, you also made a game that is completely impossible from a scientific perspective. Loyal theorists, it's time we give Scott's latest bag of tricks a little lesson in real-life science. While frontal lobe injuries aren't as uncommon as people think, actually they happen all the time in car accidents, playing football, falling down, etc., having your whole frontal lobe bitten off has a much more profound impact on mental and physical functions. It would come with a whole slew of symptoms from motor skill impairment to nervous system issues, but the side effects we're most concerned with today would all be psychological. Removal of the frontal lobe significantly impacts the victim's ability to process certain types of stimuli, specifically fear stimuli. Let me give you some backstory. In the good old 1940s and 50s, psychiatrists often thought the best way to cure problems with the brain were to cut pieces out. Feeling depressed? Well, let's slice that out. Overly aggressive? That chunk probably wasn't important. As such, there are extremely well-documented studies of patients without frontal lobes, and what's fascinating about them was what happened to their fear response. Patients without a frontal lobe become uninhibited because they no longer have a fear response. Way back in my Fallout episode, we looked in depth at the most famous accidental lobotomy in history, Phineas Gage, who literally had an iron rod shot straight through his head, completely destroying his left frontal lobe. One of the most striking differences between pre-Pole Phineas and post-Pole Phineas was his sense of inhibition, and by that I mean post-Pole Phineas had none. He had no sense of caution, no sense of fear or self-consciousness. He was described to be impulsive to the point of being rude and vulgar in public. No fear, no anxiety, no social pressure anywhere. Going back to the game, one of the things Scott does a great job of throughout the FNAF franchise is putting you in the eyes of Mike or Jeremy or whoever. We feel invested in our protagonist because we are that character. But in this case, that's scientifically impossible, specifically because of the bite of 87. If the main character of this game truly is Little Timmy Lost a Lobe, he wouldn't wander around a house clicking a flashlight on and off. Why would he? He doesn't care, because tragically, he no longer has the capacity to care. His brain structure no longer allows it. As if this weren't enough, a frontal lobe injury also tampers with concentration and attention span. The main character in the game is still supposed to be concentrated over a long period of multiple hours. But the thing is, patients without frontal lobes don't have this ability. In fact, they can only stay focused on what they see immediately happening in front of them. A child missing a frontal lobe who repeatedly turned a flashlight on and off in a hallway without seeing anything would lose interest. They wouldn't have the mental wiring necessary to concentrate on self-preservation. They would literally just go back to bed. The game is impossible the way it's being presented, because it would literally be over before it began. But the final and biggest nail in the coffin for this one is how frontal lobe injuries affect the imagination. The frontal lobe controls a ton of mental processing abilities, including dreams. You might think that an uncontrollable imagination would lead to exactly the kind of nightmares or hallucinations you see in this game, but in fact, it's the exact opposite. Rigorous studies have been done on the imaginations and dream states of lobotomized patients.
This guy's too smart.
While patients without a frontal lobe can have dreams, one thing they can't have is nightmares. Patients missing a frontal lobe carry their lack of fear and inhibition straight into their dreams. And why not? It makes sense. If the mind isn't registering fear consciously, there's no reason to process it subconsciously in a dream. Studies show that lobotomized patients can dream about idyllic scenarios, money, fame, praise, but they can't dream about the monsters under the bed, or in this case, the Foxy in the closet, making the nightmare state of FNAF 4 impossible for the victim of the bite of 87. In fact, going back to the dark days of psychiatry, some patients who experience the kind of recurring nightmare we see in FNAF 4 actually had their frontal lobes intentionally removed to stop these dreams from happening. One famous case describes a patient who was experiencing a recurring dream of being chased by ferocious animals. After the patient received the lobotomy in 1953, yes, he still had the dream, but would instead describe it as being a nice dream with some nice animals. His visions in the dream were no longer threatening. The animals were happy, he was happy, and he was no longer able to perceive any of the fear he once had prior to the surgery. So scientifically speaking, there is no single way the main character of FNAF 4 can be the bite of 87 victim, like Scott seems to have indicated. Sure, the game could be about another kid, I guess, but that would be lame. No, this game is meant to be about the victim of the bite of 87. The poor kid who wasn't just attacked at the restaurant, but continues to be tortured through nightmarish visions, dreams, coma-induced hallucinations, whatever. I have zero doubt that that's what Scott intended. But the fact of the matter is, he just didn't do enough homework. A kid with those sorts of injuries wouldn't care about those things in the first place. He would have no fear, and there would be no animatronics, real or imaginary, that would be able to keep him up at night. Biologically speaking, nothing he would be experiencing would be any scarier than the fan. The fan. Sorry, Scott. Better luck in the movie. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for
I'm
watching.
gonna play a trailer of that.
So that's the science of FNAF 4, but I'm working on picking apart the lore now. It'll take a few weeks, so make sure you subscribe to get notified of when that comes out. And to help you wait, click here to check out my all-new theory on how the characters in Dragon Ball Z pull off their famous Kamehameha waves. The science behind it all is actually incredibly cool. I mean, who hasn't wanted the ability to shoot energy beams out of their hands, right? So anyway, click there to check it out, or...
Alright, so... what he said makes sense. It all makes sense. It makes sense to me. All his research seems sound. That's interesting, though. That was actually quite interesting. But anyway, yeah. I'm gonna find the trailer for the movie. I'm gonna react to that too. If you get I'm sorry, I'm like sick or something. If you guys have a video that you want me to watch or react to, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to react to it. Just let me know, because people have asked me to do more game theory videos, and here they are. Well, here it is, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, leave a like if you like this video, and leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more stuff. Random stuff, I don't know. Anyway, see everybody next time. Peace.